Oh, this is a good one. Dimi
All right.
Salvatore.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd DeMayo, and tonight my group and I will be doing our presentation on employee benefits. So to start off, I'll just be going over some of the employee benefits that you might be more familiar with that are offered in a typical benefits package, and then my group members will go more into detail on some of the other benefits. So to start off, I just wanted to introduce my team. Up next, we'll have Alex, who will define benefits and compensation. Then Andrew will have his take on Social Security. Janine will come up and talk about health and wellness benefits, followed by Brad, who will talk about life insurance and workers' comp, and then Jenny will kind of tie everything together in our conclusion. So you might be asking yourself, what are employee benefits? So they're basically a type of non-wage compensation that is given to employees in addition to their normal salary or wage. This could be anything from like paid time off to Social Security, health insurance, anything like that. And it's used by a lot of employers to retain and attract top talent in the market. So first off, we'll have PTO, which is paid time off. So throughout the year, a lot of employees accumulate a certain amount of hours that they can use for PTO to their desire, basically for anything. They could take a vacation, they could take sick pay, just take a mental break from work, do whatever they need to do. So along those lines, one of the most popular types of PTO is paid time off. So a lot of firms are offering this as a way to be competitive in the job market. A lot of employees like to save their days and accrue them either at the end of the year near Christmas or maybe taking a trip in the summer for a holiday with their family. Also, it's just a good time to relax and not have to worry about work really. Up next, we have sick pay, which is also important. It's pretty beneficial for parents who have to stay home and take care of their kids whenever they're sick. They can watch them if they're sick and can't go to school. They can also just work from home while their children feel better. It's just a way to improve that work-life balance that a lot of major companies today want to show. There are also a lot of benefits to PTO, retention of employees, and productivity increase with the number of PTO hours that are offered by each firm. You want to work for a company that will give you that time off and not have to worry about going to work. So that's very important for a lot of people. Also mental health and employee well-being as well. So going off of PTO, there's also many typical paid US holidays that are federally mandated to get paid for. So things basically like Christmas, Thanksgiving, the 4th of July, Memorial Day are all important holidays that a lot of major companies pay their employees. It's also another good time to stay with your family and enjoy that time off. So compared to the US, a lot of countries around the world offer a lot more paid time off. Ooh, I don't know what happened.
5 extra points. Anybody can tell me why that keeps happening? I actually don't know the answer, so you're gonna have to replicate it and prove it. Thought it was the computer was going to sleep, but.
Yeah, no, it's lunchtime there.
You know what, that's probably what it is that it just kind of flashed service. We need that, I suppose. You know,
So you could use that.
All right, we're back. As I was saying, compared to around the globe, they get a lot more paid time off compared to the US. So for example, as you can see, an employee in Barcelona will get about 32 days paid time off compared to one in LA who gets about 10. So hopefully the US will reduce that gap in the future. A lot of countries in Europe tend to have more family time and stuff to do like that. So a little personal story, I'm currently an accounting intern at American Water, which is one of the biggest water utility companies in the US. So as an intern, I don't really get as many benefits as my coworkers who are full-time and exempt employees, but there are still some things that the company provides me as my time as an intern. For example, whenever I have a lot of work to do or have like a big exam coming up, my supervisor allows me to take off and I still get paid a certain amount of hours per month usually. And I also have a laptop, so I'm able to work from home and still get paid for that. Also, I can invest it to a savings account, part of my weekly salary, which is not that much, so it's not that beneficial. But going along, tuition reimbursement is also very key in today's society. A lot of employers reimburse employees for any educational expenses they might incur, such as pursuing a master's degree, licenses, continuing education, all of that fun stuff. So in a survey of about 2,000, I think it was, job seekers, they ranked tuition reimbursement kind of in the middle of the pack as the most important benefit to them. So a lot of these respondents said that they would rather take a lower paying job if it had higher quality benefits like being able to work from home, better medical insurance, or just having that more time off. And interesting enough, millennials seem to be intrigued by this tuition reimbursement. So a lot more firms are providing this to lure in millennials. In this survey, there's about 200 companies, and 83% of them offer some type of tuition reimbursement program for like training or continuing education. So since I graduate next spring, I recently accepted a full-time offer as an audit associate at Friedman, which is a pretty large accounting firm in New York and Philly. So they sent me a whole benefits package that I'll have to go through and kind of select what I want to pick during their open enrollment, which would be, I think, next November, something along those lines. So there's a bunch of medical, dental, and vision plans that I'll have to pick. There's like 5 different ones. I have no idea what it means, but I'll look at it later when the time comes. And also I can invest into a 401k plan and my employer will match. So that'll be good for retirement and that stuff. Also, another personal goal of mine will be to take a CPA exam, hopefully pass it. It's very hard, but, and my employer will provide me with the review course, which is really expensive, and they'll pay for each section of the exam. So we're saving about $6,000 down the line, so that's pretty good. And one of the final 2 benefits I wanted to talk to you guys about mainly is employee referral programs. So this is kind of used as an internal recruitment strategy, I guess you can say. So the firm will go to an existing employee to recruit new talent. And if that new talent ends up coming to the team, the existing employee will usually get like a bonus or something. And also perks and discounts. A lot of firms offer this. For example, I know Apple, their employees could buy either an iPhone or a Mac for a cheaper price, or even employees at like Best Buy. They can save employees a lot of money down the line for anything that they would like to purchase. Another personal example, for American Water, we moved to Camden in our brand new building, so we get like $10 off at the Adventure Aquarium. And I don't use it, but it's a gift for like families. And we get 15% off at Victor Pub, which us and the team maybe will go after a long day of work and just relax or something like that. So that's basically all I got about some of the more common types of benefits. Next up, we'll have Alex, who will define benefits and compensation. Thank you.
Hey Sal, thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'm a senior here at Rowan and I'm a management major. Today I'm going to be talking to you about defined contributions and benefits. These are 2 very important things for when we get into the full-time working world. And they're basically retirement plans that are set up through the private sector, which is what you really want because everyone hates wasting their time working. So it's good to have a plan for when you want to stop doing that. So to start, these words might seem pretty foreign at first, defined benefits and contributions, but to break them down or put them in layman's terms, 403B and 401K are the popular names you've heard for defined contributions, while defined benefits are most popularly known as pensions. So basically, the reason why these 2 things are important are because usually the dream would be, you pay your Social Security, and you put in your years of work, and then the government will pay for your retirement. Well, sadly, it's probably just not going to happen, which you might see with our next presenter here, Andrew. You got to have a plan, and you can't rely on the government Social Security to fund your full retirement. So to start, I want to give some key terms. The first one is ERISA, which is the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, made in 1974, where the government brought legislation basically just to keep pension funds in checks and balances. At that time, there was a lot of monster problems with pension funds, so they brought in that legislature to kind of get it in check. Vesting's another popular one. This is basically once you retire, it's a certain amount of time you need to have been at the company before you can get your money. Basically, the companies kind of just do this in the private sector to keep you trapped at the business. They want longevity. They want your skills for a long time. So if you're going to buy in, they want you to stay for a while. Tax deferred is one of the final terms, and that basically just means money before it's taxed, pre-tax dollars, which you can use in these funds. So let's start off with pension. So pension, this is a popular word, but you start to see these a little bit less. Defined benefits is pension. And basically, why is it defined? Because the benefits you receive after retirement will be basically fully laid out through a formula. So they're well defined. You know what you'll be getting after X amount of years, X amount of salary, things of that sort. Where do you find these? Usually in sectors like this, police, state workers, insurance, people with big unions, or people with a lot of money to back them up. It makes it easier to fund these pensions. I decided to give an example for pension, and I used police, and that's another one where you see a lot of pensions still surviving in that sector. And in 2009, the average pension was about 60K per police officer, so they got that yearly, but they can retire after about 20 years, so they can still work when they're 40 in private security. So 60 grand, and they can make more money still in the private sector. For payments with these pensions is once you retire, you can either choose to get a monthly allowance or a yearly lump sum. And this is when, once you take the money out, it will then be taxed. So as we learned, they were tax deferred before. So once you pull the money out of the account, it'll then be taxed. So you got to look for that. An example I did, just to try to give some numbers as an example, was if you put in $150 every month, and say you put in 30 years of service, you'll have about $54,000 worth of money in that account, and you should get about $4,500 a month once you retire. Moving on to defined contributions. Now this is the 401k, 403b. You've probably heard these terms before. These are tax deferred as well, so the money is not taxed when it goes into these accounts. And I want to start with 401k because that is a very popular one. And basically what this is a collaboration between you and the employer. The employer will match a certain amount of what you put up every month, and before taxes are taken out of it, it's put into an account. This account can then be used to invest in under that person's discretion, so they can choose how the money is being invested and how it'll grow to hopefully be able to fulfill their retirement. 403b, they're mostly in the tax exempt section. A lot of public schools have this type of plan. You usually invest in mutual funds with this money, which because it's pretty reliable, and even if it takes a dip, it should bounce back eventually. And the contributions for these, though, are limited to $18,500. One of the last parts of the defined contributions is the Roth option, which basically means if you want to put money in the account that you're going to invest, you can take taxes out of it before it goes in, and then instead of paying taxes when it comes out, you don't have to pay that tax. So you can either choose to give Uncle Sammy money before or after, basically. So how do we get paid with the 401k and 403b? Well, basically the 401k after age 40 or 59 and a half, excuse me, you're allowed to take money out without any taxes or like restrictions. I guess you can say with the 403b, it's till about age 55 or older, and you're subject to income tax when you withdraw it if you do not take the Roth option. Moving on, what are the differences? Not too much. The defined benefits are just better because usually there's a calculation. That's why I say you see it in union. Places like UPS and whatnot, you see that they have it well written out of what you'll be earning after how many years of service. And for defined contributions, it's good to know that you put in money, the employer matches it, and you work together to grow a substantial retirement fund, which is better. Mostly inconclusive with this. Why? Because it's important just to get one. You need the money for retirement, and you don't want to have to work until you're 70 plus. In conclusion, I would suggest also investing personally. with your money and using that to acquire retirement and college funds as well, and not always rely on businesses that can go bankrupt. Coming up next, we have Andrew, and he'll be telling us about Social Security.
How are you? So I'm telling you the benefits of Social Security. In the U.S., Social Security is a government benefit dedicated to three general groups of people: retirees, families of disabled or deceased workers, and people with disabilities. Social Security can also be defined by saying any government system that provides monetary assistance to people with an inadequate or no income. What exactly is Social Security? Established in 1935, Social Security was set up to help the U.S. recover from the Great Depression. The program acted as a government insurance system to help the elderly, disabled, and veterans cover the living expenses of all U.S. workers pay into Social Security. Also called normal retirement age, full retirement age FRA. FRA is the age you become eligible for full Social Security. Traditionally, normal retirement age has been 65 for everyone, but this change is part of the Social Security amendments of 1963. As a result, the FRA gradually increases for people born in 1938 or later. How can you make the most of Social Security? Although you become eligible to receive Social Security retirement benefits starting at 62, this age is considered early retirement, and your benefits will be reduced if you begin receiving payouts then. In fact, withdrawing benefits at this time could result in as much as a 30% reduction in your Social Security benefits. Social Security was never meant to be a retirement plan A. What Social Security founders never designed a program for was to be the sole source of income during retirement. Social Security, per this SSA, was designed to cover about 40% of Americans' salary in retirement. For the more wealthy, this figure could be a bit lower, and for lower income folks, it might even be a bit higher than 50%. The average retiree nets about $16K a year. According to data from the SSA, May 2017 snapshot, the average retired workers bring home $1,300 per month, or about $1,600K a year. That may not sound like much, but it's just enough to push the average senior above the poverty line.
Federal old age survivors, disability and health insurance, DOSI program. This is part of Social Security. Combines old age retirement insurance, survivors insurance, disability insurance. Employees share Social Security costs through payroll tax. The percentage is set by law. 2012, employers paid a tax of 6.2%, employers paid 4.2% on the first 110,000 employee earnings. For earnings above 110, only the 229 for Medicare is assessed, with a half paid by employees and half.
Okay. Calculation of benefits. To be eligible for Social Security, you must earn at least 40 credits. Up to 4 credits can be earned annually by meeting the minimum earnings threshold in a given calendar year. If your earnings meet the threshold to earn 4 credits in 1 year, you only need to work 10 years to be entitled to Social Security benefits. Delaying benefits. You're not required to begin taking distributions at your full retirement age. If you have other sources of retirement income, it may be advantageous to delay claiming Social Security to increase your benefit amount, which delays your retirement credits. You can receive your largest benefit by retiring at age 70. Receiving benefits while working. You begin taking Social Security benefits while you're still working. Your earnings reduce your benefits until you reach your full retirement age. Prior to full retirement age, $1 is deducted from your benefit payments for every $2 you earn, above the annual limit if you're under FRA for the entire year. Spousal benefits. If you are married, you are generally eligible to receive the greater of your own Social Security benefits, which can meaningfully boost your combined retirement income if one spouse has accumulated fewer benefits. For married couples, the following criteria must be met. The individual claiming spousal benefits must be 62 years or older. Insurance benefits for younger people. Social Security isn't just for retirees. Working age people who become disabled and are no longer able to work qualify for Social Security payments, and when a worker dies, his or her spouse and children are often eligible for monthly payments. Will Social Security be around when I retire? Here's the hard to swallow truth. Social Security is a pay-as-you-go model, which means that the money you're paying now is being used for current beneficiaries instead of being saved for you. The Social Security program is spread to dividend reserves this year, and it has. The future of Social Security. This doesn't mean that nothing will be left for the next generation. but it does mean that Social Security may not be running at full steam. Millennials may only receive about 75% of their benefits once they reach retirement age, unless the government decides to raise the payroll tax. The real problem with Social Security, probably heard that Social Security is doomed, like I said, and you're going to completely run out of Social Security money in the next couple of years, couple of decades, and you'll get screwed out of benefits. This is actually untrue. However, it doesn't mean that everything's completely fine. Another common misconception is that government keeps borrowing money from Social Security fund, which is causing us to run out. That's not the problem either. The problem is simple, we have more going out of Social Security than coming in. And that's really the biggest problem with Social Security and the reason why it may start to stall in the near future. Social Security, in theory, is a great idea. You pay taxes now to ensure retirement later. Problem is, it doesn't work out that neatly in practice because the money you pay goes to an entirely different generation. It doesn't come directly back to you, as Social Security has worked for many years now. Although all seems bad for Social Security, retirees can expect a smaller decline in benefits after 2034. It's common that once Social Security trust funds run out of money, Social Security benefits will cease entirely. That's not the case because the program will still be able to receive revenue from payroll taxes and income on benefits. Thanks for listening to my portion, Social Security. And that's yes.
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, class. My name is Julie. I'm going to talk a little bit about health and wellness benefits. This is me. I was about your age. I was a sophomore pre-junior at Drexel University here. By show of hands, can anyone tell me who I'm sitting next to? She was mentioned twice in the last class during the HR law presentation. Do you know? That's Rosa Parks. So let's jump into, I thought that was a cool picture.
It's a really
because
cool
we just
picture. It
talked
was
about
like
her,
mother and daughter.
right, and I was about your age, but anyway, we'll jump right into benefits. So some of the typical health and welfare benefits that employers will offer an employee are medical, dental, vision, prescription, and flexible spending accounts. Everyone here is likely enrolled in healthcare benefits, but probably most of you didn't have a say in or control over which plans that you are actually enrolled in. To select a plan that best meets your needs, you should consider a few factors like coverage, choice of doctor, convenience, access, and cost. There are a number of types of medical plans that you can choose. For instance, a PPO, an EPO, and an HMO. One of the types of plans is a PPO plan, and PPO plan is a preferred provider organization. A PPO got their name because they have a network of providers that they prefer that you use, but they will still pay for out-of-network care. Given that they are less restricted than other plan types, they tend to have higher premiums and cost sharing. Another type of plan is an EPO, which is an exclusive provider organization. It's a bit of a hybrid between an HMO and a PPO. This plan got its name because they have a network of providers that they exclusively use. So you're kind of stuck to using their providers. Otherwise, the EPO will not pay for your coverage if you go outside of network. An HMO is health maintenance organization. They tend to have lower premiums and cost sharing than plans with fewer network restrictions because they require primary care referrals and won't pay for out-of-network care except for emergency situations. This next slide that we're going to look at basically compares an HMO and a PPO. And as I stated, the HMO has in-network benefits while the PPO has both in and out-of-network benefits. What this chart does not show is that the EPO, which has in-network benefits, but it doesn't require the referral or the primary care physician. Prescription drug coverage is a plan that helps pay for prescription drugs and medications. Some employers offer prescription coverage as a separate benefit if you elect medical, while others it comes right along with medical. One thing that I noticed recently is that my husband's plan has offers prescription coverage separate from medical, which I thought was strange, but apparently that's somewhat common.
I noticed that this year too, at Rowan, they seem to have, it's very separate, you have to enroll in either.
Wait until you see the cost for his plan, it's ridiculous. In June of 2017, I was notified that my position was being laid off, and that was after 18 years and 3 months of working for this company. As a result, I immediately updated my resume, applied for unemployment, and considered what my options were to keep or maintain my benefits. Through COBRA, I was able to keep my Aetna point of PPO plan, but we chose not to. We went with my husband's. This is straight out of his plan chart for 2018. He was paying 111 for himself, and now he's paying 522 biweekly just for medical. That prescription drug price, $2,000, is a biweekly cost for medical and prescription coverage for the two of us, which is insane, and it's why we don't have prescription coverage. So for dental coverage, basically, dental coverage is a plan designed to help cover all of the maintenance as well as major dental expenses. Vision coverage also covers eyewear as well as basic eye exams. FSAs are flexible spending accounts. There are two types of spending accounts. One is a dependent care spending account and another is a healthcare spending account. Both have 2019 annual limits of $2,700, and both are paid with pre-tax money. So that is not tax deferred. It's basically tax exempt because you never pay taxes on that money. They are both use it or lose it plans. So make sure if you do enroll in these plans, you make sure you use them. The healthcare fund is used basically to cover any medical, dental, or vision, or eyewear, or hearing aid expenses. The daycare expenses can be used for either children for daycare, childcare, or even day camps. But it has to be related to keeping you at work. It can't be for a date night kind of thing. It's also used for if you have a spouse or you're taking care of a parent, but it has to be someone who's living in your home for at least more than half the year. So one of the benefits that I wanted to talk about is an unemployment benefit, which Brad will talk a little bit about unemployment, but one particular little known fact is the state of New Jersey has a program that they work with some participating colleges, Rowan being one of them. It's a tuition waiver program. Through that program, no money is exchanged between the state and the university, but I am here because I was an unemployed person through that program. So basically, after the first week of classes, if there are seats available, you can enroll, and that's why I'm here. Next up is Brad.
Hi, what's going on, everybody? My name is Brad, and I'm a finance major here at Rowan. And just following up with all the benefits that our group had gone over already, I was just going to follow up with some more benefits in the workplace, most specifically life insurance benefits. We also have workers' compensation and a little bit about qualifying life events as well. So what life insurance does is it pays out a sum of money to insurer's family in the event of death. Or also there is plans to where we could have a plan to where you can, in a few years from now, or 50 years, 20 years down the road, you can actually withdraw from that account. So about 90% of consumers say most people need some form of life insurance in today's world, and about less than 2/3 of Americans actively have a policy. Now, there are about 280 million active life policies in the U.S., and there's about 155 billion is what's racked up in sales each year for life insurance. So basically, and say in a family that a father's a breadwinner and the mother is a take-home, or she stays at home, watches the children, and say that the father ends up passing away, What life insurance will do is just act like a replacement income, so the family will still have all the be able to take care of all their expenses and everything in the household. So the four most common life insurance policies here are term, whole, universal, and rate of premium. So a term life policy provides coverage for a predefined period of time. It's also good cheap coverage. Now whole is the most common. What it will do is pay cash benefits to your beneficiaries upon death. Now universal offers a little bit more flexibility than whole. Provides a cash value account which would generally earn a guaranteed rate of interest over time. Also, with the return of premium, that would return an amount equal to the premiums paid during the coverage when the level premium ends, as long as the policyholder is still alive at the time. Now, here's a few type of term life insurance policies. You have a renewable term, which can renew at the end of each term as prices change. Then there's a multi-year level term, which guarantees that you'll pay the same amount over the whole policy. And then the conversion term allows you to change from term life to whole without a medical exam. And finally, the decreasing term, which would pay less to the beneficiary as time passes. Now, just about a year ago, I had purchased my own life insurance policy through my brother, who actually works at Liberty Mutual. And I actually purchased a universal policy, and this is because I live in an apartment with my mother. She doesn't, or my dad's not around. So obviously, if anything was happening to me, I want to make sure that she's good moving forward. So I had set up a payment plan for $15 to come out of every single paycheck. So this satisfies my $30 payment of my life insurance every month. It's really just looking at these pay stubs up here. You can see how the benefits that we pay for, these small payments, they add up quick, but it's worth it in the long run. Just to relate this to some of my personal experience, I was actually hired at One Main Financial this summer as a personal loan specialist. And my job every day is to upsell as many loans as possible, have the best title percentage as possible, and sell as many insurances as I can. So the credit insurances that we do sell is life, disability, unemployment, and property. Now what life does is if someone that has a loan with us, they pass away, it will cover their loan in full for them. Now disability, same thing. They'll have to contact us if they're sick or ill, and then we cover their payments. Unemployment, you lose your job, we'll cover your payments for you for up to a year. And then property, if your collateral, which is your car, is destroyed, we'll actually cover your car too. Now, we also do sell a home and auto plus plan, which is about $599.99 a month, and an auto plus plan itself, which would be $499.99 a month. These are non-credit insurances I would receive commission off of selling each month. Now, workers' compensation is a state mandated insurance that provides medical benefits and wage replacement for employees who have a job related illness or injury. So what happens is when these people that we do business with, they go on unemployment or disability, they contact us, we mail them out the forms, then they go contact their previous employer, whoever they need to sign the forms to get the payments going. So workers' compensation is a form of insurance providing financial compensation and medical benefits to employees injured in the course of employment. These premiums that someone who's on workers' comp receives are determined through an equation based on the amount of payroll per job function within the business. And there are requirements for receiving these benefits, obviously. Insurance prices tend to keep going up recently because of fraud that's being attempted by people throughout the United States. Faking injuries, they're still working under the table and receiving one or the other. So while on this subject, we have actually just had that happen recently. We had a dispute at my job. Customer was having disability cover all his payments for him. It's lasted for about 6 months or so. And then later we found out he started getting investigated. And then we did go forward and find out he was getting cash under the table every Friday. So my company ended up suing, and I didn't go forward, and I wasn't able to see what had exactly happened to him because his account did leave our branch. But going off of assumption, I'm sure that he just had to go ahead and make those past 6 payments that were missed that were covered through disability. So qualifying life event is a change in your situation, like getting married, having a baby, losing health coverage, which can make you eligible for a special enrollment period, which allows you to enroll in health insurance outside the yearly open enrollment period. Now, the 4 most basic and common types of qualifying life events is loss of health coverage, changes in household like marriage or divorce, having a baby, or death in the family, like I said previously, also change in residency, and finally, other qualifying life events such as change in your income that could affect coverages that you actually qualify for. Now, the most important that I say for us students is loss of health coverage when we all turn 26. That's slowly approaching and it'll be here before we all know it. Now, concluding what I had gone over, just discussed a few different types of life insurance policies and why it's important to have today. And I also discussed workers' compensation in the workplace along with qualifying life events that people each and every day go through. And we'll pass it over to Jenny for the conclusion.
I'm Jenny. I was in the conclusion. So tuition reimbursement, and when some employers offer tuition reimbursement as a way to pay back employees for educational expenses, and some employers even offer to pay for higher education. Offering tuition reimbursement is um, beneficial to employers because they have more educated employees. Fringe benefits offer paid vacation, sick leave, health club memberships, daycare services, and some larger organizations even have on-site fitness centers for employees. An example is a cafeteria for employees, and this picture is eBay's cafeteria. Holidays, many companies offer a set number of paid holidays such as New Year's, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. There are also floating holidays where the employee can choose which days to take off as part of their paid holiday schedule. An example of a floating holiday is Hanukkah. Sick days are considered PTO also as holidays, and it's paid time off. Most companies offer a set number of sick days per year. The average number of sick days in the United States is 8.4 days per year. Organizations allow employees to carry over their unused sick days from year to year, while at other organizations they do not carry over. Employee discount is a discount off the original purchase price of goods and services. It's given to employees of the company. An example of this is Apple, and they give 25% off to their employees of Apple products. So I relate to employee discounts because I work in a restaurant called Dave and Sons in Swedesboro, and when I work, all the food there is for free, and when I'm not working, it's 50% off. The reason that it's for free when I'm working is because he wants us to try everything and recommend it to other employees or work customers. Health insurance covers health insurance usually covers hospital expenses, surgical expenses, and routine wellness visits. It usually is up to the HR department to determine the best healthcare plan for employees. Employees pay a yearly fee for healthcare to companies to cover them and their families. HMOs are health maintenance organizations. With HMOs, you usually see certain doctors that are part of your plan. And when you need to be approved beforehand, you need to see a specialist, such as a dermatologist. And PPOs are preferred provider organizations, and employees need to see doctors outside the network if they want to see them. They can easily see the specialist. Co-pays are monetary charges to your health insurance company. It requires you to pay at every doctor's visit for medical treatment. Co-pays are usually a fixed amount depending on your health insurance plan. And I can relate to co-pays because last year I had an injury with my foot and I had to go to physical therapy for months, and I was under my parents' health insurance, so I only paid $15 each time, and if you didn't have insurance, it would have been $90. And I also only paid $15 for MRIs, which would have been I think $2,000. And so the DCFSA is a dependent flexible spending account. It is used to pay for childcare and adult dependent expenses, and while you're working full time. You must enroll for it during the open enrollment period each year. The IRS determines which expenses can be reimbursed by a flexible spending account. It's pre-tax. And the HCFSA is a healthcare flexible spending account that allows you to pay for qualified out-of-pocket medical expenses on a pre-tax basis. Most care expenses are covered. Using a healthcare flexible spending account, it lowers your healthcare expenses. It can be used for eligible medical and dental and vision expenses. Using the HCFSA, it saves money because it's pre-tax. Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1985 is COBRA. It's a federal law that allows you to keep your health insurance after leaving your job, the length of time you can keep your insurance for COBRA is between 18 and 36 months. Qualified life events make you eligible to enroll in health insurance outside of the open enrollment period. Examples are getting married, having a baby, moving to a new address, or a death in the family. You need to show proof of qualifying life experience to have a special enrollment period. A pension is a set dollar amount that employees will receive when they retire from an organization. Pensions are good for people who work at a company for like most of their life, and they're funded by the employer. Examples are jobs that are for teachers, state and government employees, and military. 401k plans are more popular than pension plans. With a 401k plan, employees directly deposit money from their paycheck. The funds are saved until retirement, and when an employee leaves their job, their 401k will stay with them. And some organizations offer to match with the employee and puts the plan to incentive. Good advice to a new hire is to invest 10% into their 401k plan. Social Security was started by Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1935. It's a government system that American workers pay into. The current percentage of Social Security is 6.2% that's deducted from your paycheck, and many Americans collect Social Security benefits monthly. And recently there's been a concern about the future of Social Security fund. It's supposed to, they're saying it's supposed to run out, but he said it's not true. And it has been spending more than it's been taking in, and that's why it's been decreasing. Thank you.
Now, you think you guys are good next week? Maybe, maybe not. Here are your awesome frogs. You're welcome. Awesome frog. You do that one. I'm gonna be the last.